Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for this important hearing. A couple quick things, and this is for you, Mr. Bose. I represent the big first district of Kansas, which is the western two-thirds part of our state, except for the Wichita area. We've got 4,600 miles of active rail in our state. We have 4 Class 1 railroads, 13 short lines, and 2 switching and terminal railroads in Kansas. Moving goods across the state and country are vital for our ag industry and other industries as well. First question, and we've all kind of been in now a little bit. I understand this has come up a couple times here, but for you, Mr. Bose, the brake health effectiveness, what's the exact timeline for when we anticipate a response or an answer? Just as a member of Congress, my understanding is the technology's there. My understanding is labor's for it, the railroad's for it, waiting for approval. What's the exact, when are we going to get some kind of an answer or direction, and where exactly does it sit in the process?
Congressman, we're reviewing that petition. The FRA is, in terms of the timeline, I will get back to you with an exact timeline. There's comments that have to be addressed. There's safety that has to be looked at. I hope that FRA staff are in place and there's continuous funding so that they can look at waivers and review waivers. There's a multiple number of variables here that right now, I can't give you a specific timeline on that. We're actively reviewing that.
Okay, fair enough. Next question for you, Mr. Jeffries. You know, in my district, we have rail crossings where the trains stop and you have emergency management vehicles. In a lot of rural communities, you know, there's not a lot of other grade crossings or options. In your testimony, you mentioned how railroads are working on innovative approaches to address problematic crossings. What are some examples, and what do you need from us here in Congress as we all move forward?
Well, thank you for that. So, as you probably heard, you know, we strongly believe, I think everyone on this panel believes that, you know, the best crossing is one that doesn't exist, but you can't eliminate every crossing out there. That's never going to happen. And so the second best way of addressing that is, you know, one, working with the community, identifying, okay, do we have a chronically blocked crossing and why? Mr. Bose talked about our experience working together in Houston, where we addressed crossings on 19 critical roadways and have seen a decrease of over 60% in 6 months. So good progress there. So whether it's making operational changes, I know in Hammond, Indiana, we were able to change an interchange point that reduced, not eliminated all block crossings, but made a big chunk of difference. So whether it's using technology, whether it's operational changes, whether it's infrastructure investment, and then really in the event of a block crossing, making sure we're communicating to the public and to first responders so that they know about alternate routes or how long the crossing might be blocked. So all the above strategy, and would love to sit down and work with your office to see how we might best address what you're referring to.
Yeah, likewise. And last question for you, Chair Hamady. You know, earlier with the question, I think your exact words were, it's not just resources. We've got to streamline the process, and every one of you nodded your head. How do we do that?
That's a great question. We do not have a recommendation on that. I'd be happy to work with the committee, just from a previous experience, but we can't have a situation where this takes years and years to address community concerns. And right now we're looking at 7, 8, 9, 10 years for a lot of these projects. That's just not acceptable. That's not an improvement to safety.
That's right. And many times the resources are there. The will is there on all parties' parts. With inflation, the cost continues to go up, which you mentioned, Mr. Smith, and we have these multiple year delays. Makes no sense. These are solvable problems that we need to figure out.
They are solvable problems, but also, and Mr. Smith had mentioned making sure that local entities have the resources that they need too, because a lot of times with these projects, a lot is put on local communities. If you just look at the Mendon accident, the Mendon, Missouri accident, when we were on scene, I went to visit the 3 local commissioners who mostly spend their days in their small businesses. They don't do grade crossing elimination or active crossings, and they looked at me and said, we don't know how to come up with this money, and we don't do environmental engineering work. How would we afford this? Now, luckily, FRA was on scene, Federal Highways I was able to call, and we pulled everybody together along with BNSF and the state and Amtrak to get a great solution. But that's not always available. So the locals need to know how to get the resources and where to go to get them.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I yield back the balance of my time, which I do not have. Thank you.
Gentleman yields. I now